This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with bassist John Gallagher of the UK hard rock act Raven. If I knew absolutely nothing about Raven, how would you describe the band's music to me?
We are a bundle of energetic crazies with a wink in our eye, I think.
So certainly a powerful rock band. Doesn't take yourself too seriously then, right?
Well, we take ourselves seriously, but we seriously have a good time. And unlike a lot of metal, which can be a little dour and a little down and a little dark, we're definitely on the more positive side, that's for sure.
Raven has a new EP coming out on February 14th called Can't Take Away the Fire. It comes out through Silver Lining Music. This is the follow-up to your 2022 album, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Why the decision to release an EP and not just go a full album?
Because a number of reasons. One, it's kind of a celebration of our 50 years in the business, which was, initially this was supposed to come out in December, so it's a little late, but we'll just drag that out of here. And the other thing was, the next album is going to be recorded at our drummer Mike Heller's studio, but he moved, so he's had to rebuild it brick by brick elsewhere. So we knew that was going to take time, and we didn't want to leave a massive hole until that happened. So we got off our behinds and put this together, 5 new songs, and then there's 3 kind of legacy live tracks just to round it off, and present to the fans, and also serves the purpose of keeping the ball rolling until we get the next album together.
Well, let's talk about these 5 new songs. In particular, you've released the title track, Can't Take Away the Fire. I assume this is looking like the mantra of Raven after 50 years, right?
Oh, absolutely. The title made perfect sense, and the lyrics just came flooding from that, which is the way it's supposed to do. It's a great anthemic, it's very much a Raven song in the tradition of something like Stay Hard or Take Control or something like that. With a few twists. There's always got to be a few twists. And then the other songs run the gamut from Peel Your Face Off, fast, crazy, black and blue, to a really left turn dark blues, which is The Wreckage, which closes out the new songs, which is something we've never done before, and we gave that a shot and it came out great. So, a little bit of variety, and it really pushes the bar up and shows where we're going for the next record.
Are you the primary songwriter for Raven, or does Mark and Mike also write songs as well?
Everyone chips in. I think I had quite a few on this one, but everyone does chip in. And even if it's like my idea to start with, it gets twisted out of form and elevated to somewhere totally different once the guys get their hands on it. So it all ends up being a three-way stretch, as they say. Yeah.
Well, I have to say the 3 live tracks complement the new material well. You have a live track from 2022, another one from 1991, another one from 1984. You sound just as good as you did in 84 that you do in 2022. It's actually quite refreshing.
Yeah, that was the thing with that, was to show that, we've changed, but we haven't. The spirit and the energy thing is definitely still there all the way through.
You have this fantastic hand-drawn artwork, and you had it on your last album as well. Same artist for both albums?
Yeah, same artist. And these were mainly Mike. Mike runs with the ball on the art stuff. So basically took some ideas from the last album cover. There was hidden in the dirt was some spiders with laser beams. So one of them graduated to having rockets this time. So and we're hidden in the front there. If you zoom in at the bottom, we're all digging our way through the jungle or something. So it's the crazy kind of comic book movie poster lunacy, and it's fun. It's cool.
And album cover art is sort of a lost art, if you will. I mean, a lot are computer generated, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. But there's something about sort of that somebody drawing something and putting something together that kind of harkens back to the early days of heavy metal album covers.
Yeah, I was seeing a controversy online about AI art, and it's really like, oh, that's I need an album cover, blah, and it just gets so soulless after a while, you know. Uh, it's like the music, people will be like, write me a song like this, and they'll be doing that on AI and passing it off as, like real music, and it's wrong. I guess it's like anything else. It's got its place. I'm having fun with AI, playing with some old tapes where you can kind of stem everything out and try to rebalance it, and that can be a wonderful tool, depending on how good the recording was to start with. That can be a cool thing, but in general, it's like no, we'll use all these tools like the modern recording studio and being able to redo stuff and mess around with it, but we kind of do it with an old school mentality and use it like a glorified tape recorder still.
Absolutely. I noticed that Raven recently played and toured Singapore for the first time. Not a huge tour stop for a lot of bands, so I wanted to know what your experience was like in Singapore.
It was fantastic. Really liked it. The only things you hear about Singapore is like, don't spit on the floor, they'll beat you to death and all this kind of stuff. And let's face it, in the modern world, maybe that's not such a bad thing. I read the news about back in England at the minute, and maybe they could do with a little bit of that. I don't know. Let's not get into that. Singapore was wonderful, clean. People were very friendly. Lots of good food. Uh, we we did a little bit of sightseeing downtown's like the most amazing shopping you've ever seen. Uh, and they have this crazy casino, which is like it's like three buildings with a building on top, and it's all trees on the top, and it's like botanical gardens around it and everything. And yeah, really, really cool place to visit. And the show was awesome. It was strange. It was a venue in a mall, and it's the only time we've ever had two opening bands, and then they left, and everyone left the venue, and then we set up, and then everyone came back in. But it worked, so whatever.
Raven played 83 shows last year. That is amazing. After being together 50 years, was 2024 the your busiest year?
No, we've definitely done more. I mean, when Mike joined in 2017, he did three shows with us in like May, and then he joined us in June, and that from June to December we did 150
Okay.
on that one, which was European tour like 70 odds, and then a US tour of 40 odd, and a whole bunch of festivals and stuff in between. So yeah, that kind of set the pace. And that pace was continuing until the pandemic nonsense happened. So, like everyone else, we had to, back to the beginning and start over. But we were out again after the pandemic, 2021. We toured the States in like September, October, and it was awesome. Other than the fact, of course, you couldn't eat because all the restaurants were closed at 5 o'clock.
What are your touring plans for 2025?
We have a festival in Houston, Hell's Heroes, on March 20th, which is a European-style festival. It's only been going a few years. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our old mate Saxon are going to be playing, so that'll be great. And then Mark's actually getting an operation on his ankle. So that'll put him out of commission for 6 to 8 weeks. And then we are booking a tour in Europe for September. That's like pretty like 75% together at the moment. And looking to do the US either before that or right after, so August or October. It's depending on how we do with the record, because during that period Mark's out, to stop him from going crazy, I'll be throwing a guitar at him and we'll be going over stuff, and hopefully Mike will have a studio together, and that's going to be the important thing, is getting some serious work done on the new album. So
So when it comes to performing live, obviously headlining shows in a club or a shed has its advantages, and so does playing these big festivals, which is kind of the venue that you prefer.
They both have their advantages and disadvantages. The advantages with the big show, of course, is you're playing to a lot of people. You've got a great crew who are very professional and know what they're doing. Usually, whatever they provide is top notch. Although I think it was whacking. We had like, I don't know, 5 minutes to go on. The bass amp blew up. These things can happen, but they do have spares, so that worked out. And obviously, the club show, you've got the intimacy. You're in the faces of people, and it's a totally more crazed atmosphere. With the bigger show, you've got to be a little bit more bombastic, a little bit more grandiose with what you do to try and fill that space. But in many ways, I think the best option on that is to try and treat it the same. You know what I mean? You get these 200-yard stages. It's kind of tough for two guys to fill that. So instead of doing that, maybe we try to set up the same. You'll see a lot of bands set up and it's like 4 miles back to the drum kit. That doesn't really spark a lot of creativity between three guys. So we try to keep it the same no matter what size the stage is.
In a career that spanned 50 years, what would you say was the high point for Raven?
Oh, it's always what we're doing next. But there's been so many real high points. I mean, back in the day, being able to do a record and hold it in your hand, that was a big deal. That meant an awful lot. It means absolutely nothing now, but it meant everything then. Getting to go to Europe for the first time, playing the big hall in our hometown, playing London, playing the States, playing South America, Australia, Japan, all these things. That were mountains we've had to climb, and there's still plenty of them out there. So we're looking forward to ticking stuff off our bucket list, as it were.
Any low points along the way that you can recall?
Oh yeah, lots. Mainly, I guess the biggest one was the accident my brother had in 2001, where he nearly died, and was looking at never being able to walk again. But he took a big middle finger to the doctors and told them, "Watch me." And within 3 years, he was up on his feet, with a leg brace, but back, and we started playing again after about 4 years properly.
Awesome.
So that was a tough one. It was a tough one when our drummer Rob Hunter left back in, it'd be like late 87, late middle of 87. And we were kind of stranded in the States with very little of anything. But that's our background. That's where we're from. We're tenacious little buggers.
Over the years, did you ever get any offers to join another band?
Uh, no. I think I'm too, what's the word, idiosyncratic. Uh, you know, I know some people tried to put me forward for the Metallica gig, and that would have been so wrong. Uh, you know, that would have been a hell of a compliment, obviously, but no, they got their right man with Robert, absolutely. Uh, but no, that I mean, I love playing with other people. I've done lots of sessions, and will continue to do so. It's always a challenge and a learning experience, and you hope you can bring something to the table to help out whoever you're playing with. So I did an album for a guy we know called Alex. He's got a project called HELMS Deep. Did the first album. Second album is in the can, so that's probably coming out later this year, which sounds like Iron Maiden on crack. So that was quite the challenge, and a few other things I've done. So it's always fun keeping your hand in doing that.
50 seems to be the magic number for a lot of bands to stop touring. It doesn't sound like that Raven even has that in mind, but had you ever thought about, just be like, I'm done with music. It's enough. The road's too much. The grind's too much. We should call it here.
No, I think with that, if you're not enjoying it, why do it? We're enjoying it now more than we ever have because we appreciate it more. And we're in that peculiar position of being that, legacy band with all the history and all the music and da 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 da. But we're a current band and we're writing new music and we're promoting it and selling it, you know, recorded and live. We're out promoting it and doing it and playing killer live shows and, you know, with more energy than people quarter our age.
So, in addition to the 50th anniversary of Raven, this year marks the 40th anniversary of your major label debut, Stay Hard, on Atlantic Records back in 1985. Why don't you tell me how you ended up signing with Atlantic back then?
We had come over to the States in '84 with the sole intention of getting a major deal and getting a major agency deal. And eventually both of them blew up in our face, but we did achieve that goal by the end of the year. We toured, and what did we do? Rob broke his arm at a show in Buffalo, and that cut our tour short. So once that was healed, we played a big show in Roseland in Manhattan, which is like a 4,000 capacity hall. So there was us, and opening up, we had Anthrax and Metallica, and that was a big deal. Three unknown to the record companies, unsigned bands, and it was packed out, and all three bands ended up getting signed. So, the negotiation process went all the way through till December with Atlantic back and forth. And we were in the studio doing the Stay Hard album. And initially, we'd planned an album just to get off Neat Records. So, we were being a little bit stingy with the songs. So, well, they're not getting that one, and they're not getting that one. And when we found out that Atlantic were going to get the album, then they all got brought back in, as it were. So it's a interesting album. It's got a little bit of, some crazy stuff. Pray for the Sun. It's almost a ballad. And you've got the bottom line, which is almost like a big band instrumental with the horns, but it's heavy and fast. And some great rockers on there too. Extract the Action, When the Going Gets Tough, Stay Hard, and give the big hit On and On for us, yeah.
So was it any different entering the studio to record this album with major label oversight versus your independent stuff with Neat Records?
No, not that album. The next album, there was issues, but with this album, no. The only thing they wanted was a redo of Hard Ride from our first album. They liked that and they wanted that redone, which we said, well, if that's the worst that's going to happen, fine, let's do that. And it was kind of a waste of time. We should never have done it. It's not a patch on the original, but we did it, and it rounded the album off.
Do you remember what tours you ended up playing in support of Stay Hard that year?
Headline. We did a headline tour. There's some great bootlegs from that, and we had a very cool show that we went out with. The stuff that's on the On and On video, it was actually a whole bunch of staging that we bought off Judas Priest. So it's all the stuff you see on the Screaming for Vengeance tour videos. It's all that reconfigured. And it was a pain in the neck to work with. We had a tractor trailer and you could barely get the stuff into half the venues. I think the roadies really hated us on that one. But it did look cool, that's for sure. But that was the thing with the agency. We got a great agent, probably the best one ever, Premier Talent. Frank Barcelona, Barbara Skydell, those people. But all the metal bands were on another agent, and that guy was not happy that we didn't sign with him. Therefore, he wouldn't let us play with any of his bands. So, it's like, okay, well, you've got Judas Priest on your agent and Journey and The Who, and that was about it, And The Who weren't touring right then, so that kicked it down to Judas Priest, which we did do like a handful of shows with in '86, which were awesome, incredible. But we basically had to ask them to release us because we couldn't, all we could do is play our own headline shows. We couldn't open with anybody. So
I interviewed one of your opening bands here when you were in the U.S. Last year, one of your opening bands, Wicked. And from what I understand is you guys actually have a personal relationship with Wicked outside of music, correct?
Yeah. Gunnar, the drummer, his father, Roy, is an old friend. I've produced one of his bands way back in the day, and they're just great people. He's a great player, and we usually, when we're playing upstate New York, we try to pop up there and visit and hang out, what have you. So, Gunnar's been an arrogant little shit since he was born. Nah, he's a great lad and a great player, and it was a lot of fun having them out with us. It was great.
So in addition to Raven heading out on tour in 2025, there's another set of Gallagher brothers that are going out in 2025. What are the chances that Oasis makes it through all their book shows without beating each other up?
Oh, I would have thought that's a very low bar to bet on. I've just started doing my Ancestry.com thing. Wouldn't it be funny if we were related? I think I'd prefer to be related to the late Rory Gallagher. I think that would be better.
Well, John, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new Raven EP, Can't Take Away the Fire, comes out February 14th through Silver Lining Music. Fantastic release. I wish you the best of luck with it and hope to see you here in the States live at some point in 2025.
Absolutely. That's the plan. We'll see you there.